Hi, Zach.
Hey, Alison, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing well.
Nice.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you. I see Sophie is here also. Bonsoir, Sophie.
Bonjour.
Hello.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
perfect. So oh, you've
I'm
got
not
the
sure
map. That's great. I was wondering if
I can't hear you very well. Can you?
No, I can hear everything. I think it's good. You
Mhm.
Vous n'entendez pas? Ah. Can you hear what I'm speaking, Zach?
Yes, I can.
Oh, so maybe it's your peut-être votre micro, Sophie? I don't think she's hearing anything. Oh
Like
no.
the speakers?
The speakers, I guess. I'm gonna try to
Like the
call.
volume?
I can see you, but I can't hear.
I'm calling just to
Okay.
check.
Oui, bonjour Alison.
Vous avez les écouteurs le speaker qui marche?
Écoutez, normalement oui, puisque je l'ai déjà utilisé.
Parce que là, on vous entend très très bien et on
Ah.
s'entend très bien avec Zach.
Mais moi, je vous entends pas.
Est-ce que vous auriez peut-être des écouteurs à brancher?
Écoutez, non, normalement, en fait, je l'utilise régulièrement à titre personnel et j'ai jamais eu de problème. Et si jamais je laisse en haut-parleur, bon, ça risque de faire interférence. Alors, comment ça marche? Alors, ça, c'est bizarre quand même. Est-ce que ça peut... Tout ça peut venir.
Soit vous coupez le micro sur Zoom là maintenant, et je vous montrerai ici.
Alors,
we're gonna try doing this way because her mic she doesn't hear when we speak. So do you think it works if Sophie, if you speak now?
There is a way that you can call in with your phone, or she could potentially Zoom with her phone and just use the audio from her phone. Like on the app, you know? And then there's also, let's see.
Well, qu'est-ce qu'il disait? J'ai pas entendu en fait. Ouais, mais je pense que ça va pas être très clair. Just a second. En fait, the 15 minutes that we need to set up. Yeah. She's going to try and plug her earplugs and a mic. Okay. That was Miguel did last time when we didn't hear him very well. Oh no, it was Roland that did that.
Roland, yeah. I also have, since the Lalande-de-Pomerol is not on this map, I have a Google map. So okay. If you tell me the address of Chateau, I could directly pull that up, or I can just zoom in on the Google map.
So it's the name of the town where the winery is Neac, N-E-A-C.
Leac. Oh, Niac. Okay, I see
N
that.
as in N as in
Yep,
Nathan. Yeah.
Yeah, I found it.
Okay.
And there's.
So that would be in the pink region. They don't. Oh yeah, they don't show exactly where Lalande is. So it would be. You see the darker pink on the left, on the right, on the right. So on the right bank, I see your mouse. So it's on the right bank of
I'm
Bordeaux.
sorry, I can't find it. So what I'm going to try is just to try to do it with my iPhone.
Okay.
And see if it does work. I will.
So what I'm gonna do is we can talk about this big map that we've got going on with, and then I can change over to the Google Maps.
Okay.
And then I can show Niac.
Okay, great. So we will focus on when we iPhone with Sophie. Oh, this is how it works. So you have you have two screens, but one is working and the other one is recording.
Yes. So like this one, what I'm pointing at, that's my iPad, which is just my face, and then I've got a computer that I'm doing all of the screen shares with. I just found it to be easier because then I can be doing other stuff on the computer, and then have like that way I can control the room, kind of, if you will, and then it's just my face on the iPad.
I'm trying to activate Sophie's iPhone because the mic is switched off, and I think
okay.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, but there's an echo.
And here?
There's still an echo.
Right, and here, I just tapped it. Can you hear me?
Yes. And can you hear when we speak?
Right, okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to close and start again.
Okay.
Let's see if it works.
Okay. I hope it works.
Yeah, me too. If not, she can speak real quick, and then if we have questions, we can maybe like text her or with the chat function, and she might not be able to hear people's questions, but she'll still be able to.
Yeah, she can speak, and eventually I can call. I can call her, and I will tell her what we say, and she will just answer like that. Try to work something out.
Yeah, and my Wednesday keeps restarting, or my meeting keeps restarting.
Yeah, I see. It keeps changing the setup of the.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I'm not sure why.
Oui. On entend. Non, toujours pas.
Very sorry, actually.
So I'm gonna call.
Okay. Oui, Alison, c'est bizarre.
Oui, c'est bizarre. Alice, qu'on pourrait faire, c'est en fait, on vous entend quand vous parlez.
Ouais, et moi je vous entends pas.
Donc on pourrait, à la limite, ça serait pratique, mais moi je vous retranscris ici par.
Vous m'écrivez en fait, conversez, vous écrivez.
Ouais, je peux vous écrire et on.
So Zach, how can we work this out? So she's on the phone with me. So how do we do this? We she speaks, and I tell her what we say if when needed questions and everything, or do we write?
We can use the chat, and so she won't be able to hear us, but we'll still be able to like chat with her. Maybe if you need to like translate, we've got the big chat window somehow.
Which is conversation.
There we go. So like.
Ah oui.
Did you see like chat pop up?
Oh yeah. Now I can hear my voice in her.
Non, en fait,
If she mutes, if she just mutes, then we won't be able to. We could hear her when she unmutes.
Il va falloir en fait que vous me posiez les questions.
Du coup, est-ce que vous pouvez mute votre micro pendant qu'on parle au téléphone?
Alors,
Are we on mute? It always confuses me because it normally has a line across it.
When should I start?
No. I'm not ready.
Hey, Ed and Lynn, how are you guys?
Can you hear us?
We can.
Yeah. We can hear that other woman fine. I don't.
She can't hear us is the problem.
Yeah. Okay. That's hard.
She's yeah, for whatever reason, her speakers aren't playing our audio. So Alison is talking to her on the phone right now, and so we're trying to figure out. We might just have Sophie just talk about the Lalande-de-Pomerol, so the red wine, and then if we have questions, we can ask them to Alison, and she can kind of convey that. We're trying to figure that technical difficulty out. That's why we try to start a little early to kind of get the bugs out, but I don't know if we actually got them all out today.
Okay. Can you see us?
I cannot.
Are we on the screen?
No, she doesn't.
We're not.
Yeah, I can see your like icon, but I can't see your video.
Yeah, okay.
I can ask to start if you'd like.
Oh.
There we go.
We on? Oh, we are.
Here we are.
Yep. Now you're.
We better straighten up here.
Straighten up, fly
Yep.
right.
Hey, Melanie and Mark. We're just trying to work out some bugs with Alison and Sophie right now. Just give us a few minutes. We're gonna start off with the white wine tonight. Alison's gonna be talking about that. And then we're gonna go into the wine that Sophie makes, the Lalande-de-Pomerol. What do you think of the wine so far?
We're loving it.
Good.
Hi everyone. Sorry for the little. We're trying to work something out. We have a computer issue on Sophie's computer. There's no. She doesn't hear what we say, but she can speak. So I will forward your questions to her, and then she will activate her mic, talk to you, and then we'll just figure something out. It should work out.
Okay.
So I see everyone has a glass. Most of you, I guess, started drinking the white, I
We
guess.
did. We did.
Yes, great.
We started a little early.
Yeah, you did.
well, hello to everybody. I'm really sorry to have this technical problem, but maybe, well, France is a little bit far away, Paris too, but I'm quite glad to see you and to have the opportunity to talk and to exchange, although it's going to be a little bit of acrobacy, but I'm sure we'll manage it. So please feel free to ask questions, and we'll answer to them as much as we can.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly. So I think we're ready to kind of kick off. This is the third and last of our Bordeaux wine tastings, all orchestrated with Alison and the Cheval Concard family. We've met, now this is our second winemaker to meet, which is quite exciting. And we're going to be kind of tasting some of the kind of flagships of Concard that come to the US, starting off with the Cuvee Clemence. It's a white Bordeaux blend that has some oak aging. It's a nice neutral oak, and Alison will touch on that too. So first off, my name is Zach. I'm the beer and wine coordinator at the Durham Co-op. My pronouns are he and him. It's part of the inclusion statement that we try to say every meeting that we start at the co-op, as everyone is welcome, as everybody knows. But I'd like to pass it off to Alison to talk about the Cuvee Clemence, and we'll also talk about, we have a label change because the Concard family makes 2 different labels for the same wine, and we are lucky enough to have both of them at the co-op. So Alison, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you. Sorry, I was trying to translate at the same time what you were saying because she didn't hear. So it's a difficult job, I guess, to be a live translator. I won't be good for it. So again, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. So I've been working with Cheval Concard for a few years, but I mean, I've seen most of you for the past few tastings we've had in September, October. So we will start with the Cuvee Clemence. It's one of the wines that I really like, the white wines of Bordeaux that I really like to show because it's a very original white wine. So usually, like you know, Bordeaux is a big red wine region. We do some whites, but mostly reds. And most of the whites that we do have a majority, they're blends. So they have a majority of Sauvignon Blanc, and they're usually blended with some Semillon and sometimes some Muscadel. This one has a very interesting add-on to this blend. So it's a mix of Sauvignon Blanc and Sauvignon Gris. So Sauvignon Blanc brings all the aromas, the freshness, and the Sauvignon Gris, which is not a very aromatic grape, brings a lot of structure, body, and really has this little maybe exotic flavor that you will find also in this blend. So the wine is aged in oak for a few months. It's some sort of experiment that our winemaker has done, and it's been for over 25 years that we've done this wine, which has a lot of success in France, just because it's a very approachable, different type of white wine. Sometimes, and I don't know if you remember last 2 weeks ago tasting when we mentioned that sometimes the Sauvignon Blanc of Bordeaux are a little high in acid, difficult to drink, have this little off taste of cat pee, which is not very flattering. I think this really stands out. It's floral, it's very elegant, has a lot of aromas, and yet it's not too tight or stringent or anything. I mean, I don't know what you think. I will actually try it again to make sure I'm not saying nonsense.
No, I think you're on par.
What do you say?
I think you're describing it well. The oak, I like how the oak kind of softens it up, and where the Chateau, the other white Bordeaux that we have at the co-op, has that really nice crispness to it. You want to drink it nice and cold. This kind of opens up in the glass as it warms up, and that the oaky quality really kind of gives you those like hints of kind of vanilla, and just like really shows off the floralness, I think.
Maybe I can ask Sophie if she wants to add something on the Cuvee Clemence, which you've known for a while, I guess. Would you like to add some aspects of the wine, what you think in terms of tasting?
Well, actually, I would. Yes, I will just add. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes, what Alison was saying is really an interesting point regarding the use of oak barrel in white wine. which is quite unusual. And to me, this wine actually is my favorite among all the different white wine we can taste in Bordeaux and even in Cheval Cancard wines, because it has this subtlety and very refreshing taste. It goes very well with crustacés, shells, fish, and to me it's very crispy too and very elegant wine.
And I was just wanted to remind in terms of why we chose this name and this wine. Like I said, it goes back to 25 years. Our winemaker, which is going to retire at the end of this year, and you met Olivier, who's the new winemaker. So the second tasting we had, and so he really made this wine as like his little secret recipe. He's got his wine grower friends so about 3 different wine growers in the Entre-deux-Mers, with whom he works. Thank you. I see you are correcting me, Melanie. And he pride himself when he says that he sources all the Sauvignon Gris he can find in the Entre-deux-Mers region, because it's not a very common grape in Bordeaux. And he named this wine after his daughter, who's called Clemence. So it was more like his baby, literally his baby, and his little creation also at the same time. So it's a wine that we've really carried for a long time in the company, and is really still today a very unique type of blend. So sometimes people don't really appreciate the oak, but I think here it really brings some nice aromas. It's not overwhelming. We don't use new oak, so it's just very subtle and just, yeah, different, but very approachable anyways. Although we say it's a premium wine, it still is very approachable.
One point I might add regarding the location of the vines it comes from. If you look at the map of Bordeaux, I don't know if we have the option to have it. Sorry, maybe it was it was a wrong idea. Well, basically the vines grows in the middle of the 2 rivers called la Dordogne and la Garonne. And in France, when we say Entre-deux-Mers, it means between the 2 rivers. So that's really, mer is, if we do the pure translation, it's sea. And it's really between the 2 rivers, so which is a kind of interesting history regarding the area where grows the grapes that gives Cuvee Clemence. It's kind of a little anecdote, as we say in France.
I think you're having trouble getting the map, Zach.
Yeah. Not sure what's going on. I've started the share, but it's not actually popping up. There we go. And check out for bigger. Yeah, let's see what that does. There we go. Can everybody see that?
We can.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So here we see what I was explaining is you see the green, this green area in between the 2 rivers. North is called Dordogne, and let's say south is called la Garonne. And all the grapes come from this green area, and which is quite interesting because you have the influence of the river and of the sea, giving a particularly good terroir. And that explains a lot of the quality of the land, the terroir, and the wines coming from this area. Thank you.
also trying to share the tech sheet. So when wines are presented to me, I get what's called a tech sheet, which is typically just a bunch of information on the wine that gives you the blend breakdown, how it's made, when it's like best to drink, and then if there's oak or not, and then some tasting notes from the winemaker or from the staff. I'm not sure if it's going to load today or not, but the map is pretty nonetheless. So, are there any other questions from anybody?
Yeah, I have two, if I could. One is,
Yeah, go ahead.
You said several times, which I would tend to agree, that it's a very elegant wine. What do you mean by that? And then secondly, I think Sophie said that it's unusual to use oak for white wine. Is that correct? And if so, what does that add to it to use the oak?
Just a second, I'm gonna explain what you just said because she didn't hear. So,
So regarding what is called elegance, I mean, it's obviously a subjective feeling. It's when the wine, you drink the wine and you just feel that it's nice and well balanced and no aggressivity when you're just drinking. It's really elegant, means that you don't feel kind of well, aggressed. I don't know if it's a correct word, and Alison will correct me if necessary. Regarding the barrel, actually it's one of the mystery and one of the secrets of the person who make it. It's to decide whether or not you add and you age the wine in barrel. And I think it's interesting because it does make the difference between another wine with another wine. And you have this very subtle and delicate taste of oak, but because it's only 6 months barrel, that means it's really very, very subtle. And for me, it does make the difference, but it is true that sometimes it's difficult to explain because it's everybody has a different taste and palate, and it's difficult to explain. But that's how I would reply to your question, hoping it does satisfy you. Alison?
Yeah, what I would say for the so yeah, I use the term elegant. For me, like Sophie said, is really meaning that it's a wine that has some complexity. I mean, meaning different aromas. It's not just fruit and that's it. There's more than that. There's a nice toastiness to the wine. It's well balanced. It's round. It has some body also. It's just has complexity, but still all very well balanced, which for me, I said elegant. It could have been just subtle, and I don't know. It just meant I liked it, I guess. And for the oak, so most of the white wines of Bordeaux are not oaked. You find mostly oaked wines in the Pessac-Léognan region, but those are usually for high-end wines. Using barrels is very expensive in Bordeaux, so usually it's for wines that have a bit more, usually a bit more expensive. But in that case, so we don't use new oak, like Sophie said, it's just 6 months. It's not a year or a year and a half like some estate do. So here it was especially also to have fruity aromas, but also bring some other more complex aromas. Like when you taste, we talk about primary aromas, which is again fruit. So we want to keep this freshness and this fruity side, but also bring some other more complex, like again toast or vanilla or other aromas that the oak would bring some tannins, some body also. So it's just a way to make it a bit more original, I guess, and that's also the touch of the winemaker. He decided it would be nicer with oak. I guess it kind of worked, I think. So that would be what he wanted to achieve, I suppose.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something to Alison, what Alison said. And my grandfather actually, when we were trying, when we were younger, trying to taste the wine, and well, obviously we were a little bit shy because we didn't want to say wrong thing. And so, and it just say, well, with the wine, I mean, just express what you feel or what you smell, because each person is different, and it means that I mean, you can taste something different than the other person, and the most important thing is really that you like it. So I think wine is also, it seems to be quite difficult and sometimes, but the most important is really to like it and to feel that you have a good time when drinking the wine and enjoying it with the family, with the friends, and to me it's really the most important. And obviously for me, two things which I do not like is acidity and amertume. Alison, how would you say amertume?
I would say bitterness.
Which obviously for me is really two things which for me is not good. And obviously Cuvée Clemence, when we say it's elegance, it's really doesn't have these two, bitterness and acidity. It's really, when you're drinking, it's really goes smoothly and with lightness and elegance, but elegance is not very easy to describe for a wine. I agree.
I have a question. Zach? I also have a question.
Oh, I think we're...
I like to say round, sometimes. Hard. Go ahead, Lee.
I think there was a delay when you spoke, Zach. We missed you for a bit.
Okay. It's okay. I'm back.
Oh, good.
Okay. I have a question.
You have another question? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. What is the meaning of the word in French cuvée? I've seen it a lot. Not sure what it means. It feels like it means an area or a row or something. And what is the difference between a grand cuvée and just a cuvée?
So my understanding of cuvée is a blend. But I'll let Alison and Sophie give you a more depthful response.
Sorry, I was explaining Sophie. So for in Bordeaux, actually, cuvée doesn't. There's no regulation on the term cuvée. So here, for example, it's just because we thought it would be nice to call it Cuvée Clemence, but it could have been anything else. Sometimes you have, for example, for Chateau Vieux Cardinal Lafaurie, we could have said Chateau Vieux Cardinal Lafaurie, Cuvée Sophie, and just because this cuvée had, maybe we used a special oak or we had a special plot that we used, but there's no exact, I think I'm not saying something wrong, but there's no regulation on what cuvée actually means versus when we say, I don't know, well, some regions in Europe actually have a specific term. I mean, it means something in terms of how old the oak is, or but not in Bordeaux.
Alison?
Yeah.
So maybe what I could add is in terms of regulation, well, it is fairly strict in France with the area of production. So which means that Entre-deux-Mers is really an appellation d'origine contrôlée, a controlled appellation. And Cuvee Clemence is a blend of grape growers, so which means that all these grapes come from the same area, geographical area. So that's very important because it's legal. Regarding Chateau Vieux Cardinal Lafaurie, for example, we are allowed to use Chateau because it comes from one geographical area, which is Lalande-de-Pomerol, and we are allowed only one word. So legally, we could use either Chateau or Domaine. And as Alison said, for example, if we wanted to say Chateau Vieux Cardinal Cuvée Sophie, for example, although I would rather say Cuvée Alison or Cuvée Marcel, my father, who bought it. But that means that we decide that, for example, one part of the wine is particularly excellent, so we want to differentiate from the rest of the wine, and in this case we say that we will make 1/10 of the harvest in this cuvée, for example. I don't know if I'm clear enough, but when it's a blend of different growers, we can use cuvée. But when it's 100 made of a geographical area, we are allowed to use only either Chateau or Domaine. Is it clear or not? Do I answer your question?
That's helpful. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point that, like Sophie said, when you see in Bordeaux, I'm speaking for Bordeaux specifically because there are different regulations in different appellations in region in France, but when you see Chateau or Domaine means that the wine in this bottle was made with the grapes from the estate versus Cuvée Clemence. The wines they come from different wine growers. It's not one estate with one vineyard using those grapes. We actually buy the grapes to someone and use them to blend it. So that's the difference so it doesn't mean that Chateau is better than Cuvée or vice versa. It's just that you know that a Chateau controls the vineyard until it gets into the bottle and transforms into wine. So that the good point would be that you know where it grows and where it finishes. But when you buy different grapes from different grape growers, at least if you have an issue in your vineyards for some reason, you have the option of buying it for somewhere else. Whereas I hope this will never happen, but if there's terrible storm going on top of Vieux Cardinal Lafaurie, they have no grape and that's it, and there's no wine. So that would be the downside of it, but that's just being very dramatic. So that's the only difference in what happens, but I hope this will never happen to you, Sophie.
Actually, I could add regarding the in terms of quality, and Cheval Cancard has always had excellent relationship with the growers they work with, so controlling how they produce the vines and the grapes. While talking about losing harvest, actually for us in 2017, we had this terrible and awful, and I don't know how you call it, frost. And actually we lost 70% of the harvest. So we know how it sounds, so which is quite difficult, because in one night, actually, you can lose all the work of the year, and even 2 years, because sometimes it's cut the little wood piece, and that's kind of difficult. But that's part of working in and with agriculture, and which means that you don't control, which is one very important point, which is weather. So obviously that is one difficult part of this métier, this job, and that basically work all through the year, doing your best at each stage, and suddenly could be two days before, like in 2013, we lost 50% of production, but this time not with frost, but with hail. So, but that's it. But you see, I think the people working with terroir, with earth, with nature, are used to that type of risk, and they just get along with it. But it's like a kind of tough job, right?
Right. Thank you.
So to answer Melanie's question, so we say that a domain or a chateau means the wine is estate grown. I believe that's totally correct. Much like with farmstead cheese, the milk has to come from the animals that the farmer owns in order to be called farmstead. In order to label it as a domain or chateau, the grapes have to be grown by the same folks who are producing it.
That's helpful.
I confirm.
Yes,
And
that's correct. Regarding the domain or chateau, for example, Chateau Vieux Cardinal Rouge. So you have 6 hectares. That is really the superficie. I mean, and it means that it comes only from this vineyards and geographical area.
Thank you.
And that's maybe a good introduction to,
I think so too.
to the red and to the Vieux Cardinal. Yes, cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
And so 2016 vintage, which this one didn't suffer of any hail or frost or anything. It was one of the good years, and we can taste it actually.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is true. It is true that the year 2016 was fantastic in every sense, in terms of quality, in terms of quantity. All the area was really terrible affected by 2013 and then after 2017, but 2016 was incredible in terms of both quality and quantity. That was really the first time. Actually, my father died in 2005, and I decided to take over because I wanted to keep on the tradition, the family values, and really to be part of the history, the story. And basically, that was really the first year incredible. That was fantastic because the weather was perfect. We had sun at the right time. We had rain at the right time, and everything was perfect. So looking at the location, so it's really what we say on the right bank of the Dordogne River. It's about very close to Pomerol. And not far away to Saint-Emilion too. So we are very close to Château Pétrus in terms of geographical area. So which means that the terroir is made of clay, and it's made of sand, and the last one is silt. So what is the important part of weather and water is basically, I mean, if it rains a lot, I mean, it's this kind of magical effect of water going through the soil, and after that going back up to the vine stock. And that's why sometimes if the soil is, you have too much clay, the water is really kept by the soil. And on the contrary, if you have more sand, I mean, the water just goes through. So which means that you have less water going back up to the vine stock and then to the grapes. sorry, tell me if it's a little bit too much details. After that, so the composition is 75% of Merlot, 25% of Cabernet Franc, and 10% of Cabernet Sauvignon. So again, important point regarding the choice of grape variety. We have what we call a cahier des charges, so which is, Alison, how would you say cahier des charges?
I'm not sure I have the good translation there.
I mean, it's basically each grower needs to follow a very strict regulation. And in this area, in Lalande-de-Pomerol, so we have the choice between Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, and then we choose whether we want to have 100% Merlot or, I mean, the percentage of grapes. And obviously it has a great impact of the final wine. So that's really what the grape maker can choose. So the composition of the grape variety, whether he wants to age in oak or not. Another important point regarding the wine, the final wine, is, for example, we decide to use oak barrels for Chateau Vieux Cardinal Lafaurie. And we have 3 different type of producer of oak barrels. The oak comes from France, because in France we are very lucky because we have a huge forest and with great quality. And why it's important to use barrel for us? It's because you have an exchange wedding, but it's not the time, an alliance or an exchange of tannin between the tannin of the oak and the tannin of the wines. And that gives this type of vanilla, roasted aroma, and it really gives the characteristic and the typicity of the wine. So, for example, this wine, the 2016, you can smell really the roasted. The roasted part of it, and I would say chocolatory notes a little bit. So, and when you and again, I would use the term, the word elegance, because when you're drinking, I mean, it's really smooth, and you have no feeling of aggressivity. How would you say, Alison, aggressivity? It's not aggressivity. So.
There's nothing too overwhelming. Aggressive, you would say? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's, right. I feel like it's a pretty good direct translation.
Yeah.
It doesn't like attack your mouth. It doesn't attack your senses. It really just kind of lets you kind of come into it.
Oui, aggressivity would be a good translation.
C'est la bonne traduction?
Oui.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Well, otherwise, I mean, the wine you can drinking on red meat or veal. It's in France you use it barbecue and using the les sarments. Comment on dit ça, sarment? Using the well, you know when you after the harvest and when you start working the vines, you cut part of the woods, and the wood you do not keep on the vines. It's called shoots. Thank you. Thank you, Alison. So which means that we use these shoots and we use it to make barbecue. And when you put on it the red meat, it has a little bit taste of smoke too, and to me, Vieux Cardinal Lafaurie goes very, very well on that type of meal. Alison, would you add something?
Yeah. Well, I think you gave very good explanation, Sophie. Thank you again. And well, my just add-on input would be to say that it was one of the first wines I tasted when I joined the company, and I think that was my crush. At the time, I tried the 2014 vintage, and I really thought it was really. And I mean, even the 14 vintage was not like such a expressive vintage. 16 has a lot of aromas, structure, tannins. It's elegant, but it's the 14 was a bit more. It was a not as warm summer as in 2016, but I thought it was really nice and smooth. And I don't know how to explain that when. I don't know if you might have that opinion also in the US, where people, when you ask someone if they prefer Merlot or Cab, usually people would say, I like Cabernet Sauvignon because it's big, it's got aromas and tannins and whatever. It feels like it's a more, it's a wine that you will be more proud of liking. And for me, it was the same. I thought I was more of left bank person because left bank Bordeaux is the Médoc region, so we have majority of Cabernet Sauvignon in the blend. And I tried this wine blind, and I thought this one was my favorite, which I think is the best way to know which wine is your favorite when you don't know what you're drinking. Just because I felt there was this nice structure, but still it was very smooth and lean, and I don't know, it was yeah, my favorite. So I guess this is my only.
Yeah, just to add one point before answering Catherine's question. I mean, actually, Chateau Vieux Cardinal Rouge has many awards, and we're quite pleased and proud that to receive a gold medal on the Concours de Bordeaux Vin d'Aquitaine for 2018 vintage. And as well, the same year, we had the bronze medal to Challenge International du Vin. And basically why we have this décalage is because when you harvest, and so you have the wine aging in barrel for between, according to the year, 14, 18 months. And then you have what we call the concours, the competition. So that means that for example, this year we are in 2020, and the wine that we presented to the competitions were 2018. So you always have a 2-year difference between the harvest year and the year of the competition. So that's good, and we are quite happy because actually we had the news of this gold medal when we were harvesting, and this year harvest quite early because we started at Chateau Vieux Cardinal Rouge on the 16th of September, which is quite early. Usually we have about 10 days early harvest compared to normal time. And how it works, we start harvesting Merlot grape because alors la maturité, because maturité,
maturity,
because it's ready. Comment vous dites maturité?
You would say maturity for mature. Yeah.
Well, basically, when you feel that the grapes are ready to be harvested, and after that, Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon are always late in terms of growing. So, which means we have about 10 days difference between harvesting Merlot and harvesting Cabernet Franc. So which means that they goes obviously to the different vats for fermentation. And one important thing too is we need to respect what we call traçabilité. to respect. I mean, to be able to follow the grapes from coming from the plot and then going into the vat, because it's the vinification is done in inox thermoregulated stainless steel, sorry, thermoregulated vats. And we have a 2 to 3 weeks maceration before the end of the process of fermentation. So did I reply to the question?
Yeah, I saw the Catherine question about if each is crushed, barreled, and then final blended. I can't speak about Vieux Cardinal, but in general, so there's different types of blending. So we blend grapes, but we can also blend. We can decide that each stainless steel vat, if it's stainless steel, will have Merlot and then Cab, and then so 3 separate different vats. And then decide to blend them or actually have them in barrels separately. So we can actually blend different types of oak barrels. So we decide that a third of the production will go in new oak and 70% in old barrels. So that's another blend. So there's really different types of blendings, but that all depends. I don't know if Sophie at Vieux Cardinal, do you blend the juice?
Okay.
Well, when do you blend it actually?
Yeah, so at Vieux Cardinal, so the important point again is really to follow the rules, which mean that you need to keep the grapes coming from this geographical area to the same, to the cuve and then the barrel. So what we decided to do at Chateau Vieux Cardinal, Lafaurie, is to have about 2/3 of the wine going into barrels, oak barrels, and the rest staying in vats, stainless steel vats, and then we blend. Usually we blend 1 year after the harvest, in terms of Cabernet and Merlot.
So you would blend the wine once it went in barrels, or you blend it before it goes in barrels?
So sorry, I didn't listen.
Would you blend the wine, the different grapes before they go in barrels, or do you blend all the grapes after they've been? Is it before?
So we blend before going into barrels.
Okay. And so how?
Yeah. Sorry, did you? Sorry. Yeah, my microphone is on. Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
And then do you decide of the final blend? When do you decide of the final blend for each vintage? Do you decide way in advance, or is it once it arrives?
Well,
and then
actually, we have different all along the cycle and the life of the wines. We taste it, and with the enologue, and after, usually it's about 1 year after the harvest, and when the wine really start to have its own personality, we decide to make the final blend assemblage.
Zach, if you want to, there's a.
Yeah, so one question that came through is, are there only 100% Merlot from Right Bank?
Yeah, so.
Thank you.
That's just up to the.
Oh, I see, there's the compliment. Thank you. So Michael, for your question, so is there any 100% Merlot in the region? So there are, it exists. It's not, majority of the wines in Bordeaux are blends, just because like I said, and what we said, when Sophie mentioned the 2013, 2017 vintage, or even today, because of the global warming, which actually impacts the wine growing at the moment. And taking the example of Merlot, Merlot is getting a bit more over mature.
I think Alison might have frozen.
Well, I would, yes, I would just add to Alison talk that actually it's fairly rare up to now to have 100% Merlot, because you know French like when it's a little bit somehow complicated, so which means they prefer to have different grapes and making a kind of different taste, so which means that it's fairly rare to have 100% Merlot. Actually, most of them is really a blend of different grapes and different variety. As I mentioned, it's Merlot for Lalande-de-Pomerol, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, and minority is Cabernet Sauvignon. And it is true that seeing the evolution of the climate, I mean, some studies are being done in really to see how it will evolve, but it's a kind of tough question, because when we plant a vines, we plant it for 30 years, 40 years, sometime even longer. For example, one plot that we have at Chateau Vieux Cardinal Lafaurie was planted in 1950s. So you see, obviously, I mean, we have less quantity on this specific plot, but because the concentration is high, and when you blend it with the other vines younger, it makes really what we call the alchemy and really the magic of the vines, of the wine. It is true, actually, Catherine, it's kind of art. You need to have a kind of really good using your senses, and in fact, when you start drinking wines, I mean, you first you see it, so you have the sight, so you look at it, and then you decide whether it's the color, whether it's dark or not, and then you smell it, so it's the nose, the mouth, and so it's really kind of art using your senses. That's why we were saying previously that it's difficult to say why wine is good or not, because someone can find it good and the other one not. So that really is really the good point of wines.
And I think for Melanie, what Alison was saying about the overexposed Merlot, it's the overripe. So at a certain point, the grapes develop too much sugar. They lose some of the acidity. They just get not good for winemaking standards compared to what Sophie or Olivier or Christian are aiming for as far as their overall sugar levels and acidity and just the literal ripeness of the berries.
J'ai pas entendu Alison.
Il explique justement le fait que le merlot, quand il est trop mature, ce qu'on peut perdre, l'acidité, la fraîcheur,
Okay.
Sorry for all these issues. My internet just broke, and then this microphone, or it's how do you say that? Whatever, we're managing.
We're making it work.
Yeah. Does anyone has any feedbacks on the wine, and maybe on both? If what you think, if the style was different from what you usually have, is it something that you enjoy as is, or do you prefer maybe having something with? I see some people were eating crackers with it. I don't know how that went. Is it yes, yeah, let me know, us know.
It was delicious, both of them.
Again, very elegant.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. Have a great night. You
Thank
too,
you very
Mark.
much, Melanie.
Wonderful,
Adjourning.
wonderful
Bye-bye.
job of coordination tonight.
Yeah, tonight.
Yeah, we made it work.
Thanks, Zach.
Of course. Thank you all for joining. This has been a lot of fun. Hopefully that you've learned a lot about Bordeaux over the last 3 tastings that we've done. I'm going to be doing wine stays every other week with some special guests as well. We've got some cheesemakers lined up for both November and December. So Josh, the cheesemonger, and myself, as well as some local folks are going to join us. So you can buy a chunk of cheese and then have some wine that we've paired with it, just to enjoy yourself and hopefully kind of do these, talk about wine, talk about cheese, and enjoy an hour on Wednesday evenings. But that's kind of it. Does anybody have any other questions?
Pretty neat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have
Thank
a
you
good
all.
day.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, for us, it's night, but
Yeah.
okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. And I hope everyone fell in love with Bordeaux after those 3 tastings. That was all the big points. And
Great introduction to Bordeaux. Yeah.
great. It's a wide region, and having those 6 different AOCs was just a way to give you a hint of what we're doing. And I think it's nice to also show that Bordeaux is an old wine region where we really have different styles, and depending on your humor and your whatever taste or you're doing, what summer or season is it is, there's always one wine that will fit, and it's not over expensive. It's really approachable. I think it's really what we try to share. It's good, just good wines, and they're not too difficult to understand either. So yeah, thank you so much for joining for all those tastings, and hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Au revoir.
Bye-bye.